We're live.
What's up, Z.E.R.T Nation? Instructor Paul here. Just got back yesterday afternoon from the two-day class down in Hempstead, Texas. It was a low-light class, even though I'm going to discuss that part a little bit with you too. But as far as I'm concerned, it was mission success. We had a great time down there. I've been to that range one time before with a lot of the same students. And I'm going to go ahead and be a little bit controversial out here and let you guys know that so far this has been the most favorite class I've taught. And I'm going to tell you why. And I had a great group of students, and they did an outstanding job. And the majority of these students I've taken a class from me before. And it was actually a two-person tactics class in March. It was 6 months ago, and most of the students signed up for the class again. And the cool part about this class is once I did Mr. Blue's now drill, I realized that these guys have been training. These guys have taken the last 6 months, have gotten together, have trained on their own. They've done a lot of the skills on their own, you know, practice the fundamentals, and they actually worked on a lot of the two-person tactics on their own, and it really showed. And that was what was cool. And I kind of deviated away from my POI a little bit, and I went the day before, just to give you a little bit of background on what we did on the class. Like I usually do, I went to the class, went to the range the day before and talked to Phil. And this was supposed to be a low light class, and unfortunately the first day we didn't get a lot of low light, and kind of had me thinking about what I was going to do. And as you guys saw, if you watched the video last week or so, is I talked to the owner of the range, talked to most of the students, and wanted to see if maybe I could extend that first day an hour or two so we get a little bit of low light. And Phil said no problem, we can train till midnight if we wanted to. I didn't want to train till midnight, didn't want to try to kill the students or anything. So wanted to go about an hour or two into darkness. And the cool thing about it was Saturday night, Sunday morning, we had daylight savings. So I was able to get into darkness for about an hour and a half without going past the 11 to 7 p.m. time frame. So that actually worked out. So they all showed up on Saturday morning, and they did the now drill. I have them, and I changed it up from what Mr. Blue does a little bit, and showed them what my standard was, because I try to do every drill before I show the students to do the drills, and did the now drill. And they did awesome. And like I said, out of all the students I had this weekend, every student but two had taken one of my classes before. And out of everybody that had taken the class, there were 4 people that hadn't done my two-person tactics class. Now, this wasn't a two-person tactics class, but I kind of pushed into that the second day just because the students were going above and beyond. Where I usually spend X amount of time on a certain drill, these guys were getting it just like that, because you could tell they had rehearsed it. My 2 students that had never taken a class before, they had extensive firearms training, and they were good to go. So everybody picked up the drills really quick. And the way that this class was originally written, we were supposed to do pistol one day, rifle the next day. Well, I spent about 3 hours on pistol. Right after that, the next 3 to 4 hours on rifle, adding in a lot of transitions from rifle to pistol. Even though it was daylight, we did extensive manipulation of our flashlights, whether they were attached to our firearms or handheld. Showed them a bunch of different techniques. They seemed to be getting it. But the cool thing was that after doing rifle and pistol during the day, and threw in a couple different exercises, just because they were going above and beyond. So because of their skill level, I kind of pushed them a little bit. I have a POI that I write, but it's all based on the performance of the class. And once they started picking up speed, I started throwing in a few exercises in there that actually went really well. A few of the exercises, it didn't work out. I'm still experimenting, but a couple of them, we ended up doing a little relay race with the very end. I think we did it during the day, then we did it at night, where I had 2 targets set up. I had a barricade, 2 targets on the left, 2 targets on the right, another barricade over here, 2 targets on the left, 2 targets to the right. They had to move up with their rifle, engage 2 targets with 2 rounds apiece, transition to their other shoulder, two targets, 2 rounds apiece, And while they were doing it, they had to manipulate their light so they weren't blinding themselves, shining light on the barricade, and then transition to the pistol and do the same thing. Turn their light on, engage 2 targets with 2 rounds, turn their light off, move to the other side of the barricade. And what was cool is it kind of showed the students that, hey, even though we've been doing this stuff during the day, at night, you know, if I've got the firearm doing different techniques, like the Rogers technique, that light might not be necessarily shining on the target, or a bunch of different other issues, but it gave them the opportunity to test out these skill sets and figure stuff out. But I'm really glad that the entire class wasn't at night, just because guys would be fumbling around and doing stuff, and I mean, even manipulate clearing malfunctions at night, not being able to see, you know, even though the sun came out that night, we're doing all this stuff at pretty much 0% illume. It was that time of night before the moon came out, and I mean, it was really good for the students. They pretty much, the students went above and beyond. Their skill levels were on it. So the next day, we did a couple other drills. That night, I went home, I wrote up a few drills. The next day, we ended up doing El Presidente, a modified version of El Presidente in the morning after we did the now drill, and pretty much put 2 rounds on each target, transition, 2 rounds on each target with the pistol, and put a lot of emphasis on the rhythm drill that I performed the day before, and showing them on the El Presidente, adding the rhythm drill. It's not just a double tap, a double tap, a double tap. If you do control pairs on each target, it keeps that tempo, it keeps that rhythm the same going across, and your shot groups are actually a lot tighter, number one. And number two, you end up doing that El Presidente a lot faster when you keep control pairs, a nice easy rhythm going across the targets. So that was the first time I've done a drill with the class. I practiced that, and the class did really well. And I was like, you know what? You guys are ready for 2-man tactics. We started diving into some 2-man tactics. A lot of this stuff was stuff that most of the class had done before, but pretty much told them when it gets dark, based on you guys' performance, and add a little bit more into 2-person tactics, had them thinking a little bit. But once it got dark, I was like, guys, it's pretty much on you. If you guys continue to perform up to a standard, and I feel good about it, and I give you guys if I'm really not sure if you guys are there yet, I was planning on doing that El Presidente drill at night, and that's pretty hard, you know, given their experience up to this point. And they were still shaking out their gear, they're still shaking out their equipment and their lights and figuring stuff out. And like I said, we had been training during the day, but I was like, you know what, the El Presidente, 6 targets at a transition with lights, you know, manipulating safeties, turning their lights off when they transition, that's a lot to think about. But if they were on it, hey, we're going to 2-person tactics at night, flashlights, transitioning. Some of you guys have never taken my class before. You know, it's bare minimum instructions from me. The students are out there on their own. I'm behind them as a safety, as kind of like an RO, just to shut them down if they do anything safe or unsafe. But I got to tell you, man, I got done that evening, and I had a huge smile on my face. It was awesome. Even the guy that owned the range, he was like, dude, he's like, when I walked up and saw what these guys were doing, I was like, whoa, it's kind of a little bit above and beyond what you want to do on a range, because guess what, guys? It's dark. There was no moonlight. Every time they moved, they had their, you know, they were manipulating their safeties, their lights. They were moving forward. They were moving back. You know, if you guys think about this, when you're doing 2-person tactics, there's always somebody downrange of you. But if you put the necessary safety precautions in place, you can keep that safe. Because in a gunfight in real life, and you maneuver with your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your partner, your father, your son, your sister, your mother, if you guys are maneuvering through your house to try to get to a kid's room, you know, somebody's always going to be downrange of the other person. So if you don't train on this and you don't practice that, and you're not familiar with that technique, when push comes to shove and when it finally happens, there's going to be a lot of hesitation out there just because you haven't put the necessary safety precautions in place. And I felt that the necessary safety precautions were in place. We went tonight, and guys, they blew it out of the park. I mean, they hit it. It was a home run. And I was completely ecstatic. I would love to do this class again. And we talked about this earlier. You know what? If somebody takes one of my classes, and I'm throwing this out there, and you're not happy, man, I will individually give you my money back, or your money back. That's how much confidence that I have, and the fact that, 99.999% of the students that take these classes get something out of it. This is, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. When Aaron asked me if I could take this class, and I saw that it was from 11 to 17 or 11 to 1900, and I checked my little cell phone for Hempstead, Texas. The sun ain't even going out until the sun goes down at 18:39 on a Saturday. But when I finally sat down and thought about it, was if you do a low light class, you do have to practice these techniques during the day under lights just to get them. And then, an indoor range would be great. Turn the lights off, do a couple exercises, turn the lights back on. But given our scenario, we got to train up on a lot of stuff during the day. And then the first night, practice this stuff. Guys started working out issues. Man, I had guys out there with freaking, lights taped on their AK-47s. They were running through exercises, trying to figure out where the button was, taking a lot of time, even though slow is smooth and smooth is fast, but by the end of the second night, man, it was just entertaining to watch these guys. And not everybody had lights on their pistols. Some of them had to use different techniques, and they were doing outstanding. It was a really proud moment for me. During my class, I always tell my students, when they do a great job, it's a direct reflection on how amazing of an instructor I am. It's a joke. I think XP001 back there, they're laughing at me. But the fact of the matter is, these students, they're the ones performing the task and learning. And for all you guys down at Hempstead, some of you guys traveled 400 miles to take this class on the road. Man, I appreciate it. But it's a direct reflection on how amazing you guys are as students. As man, you guys keep going out and taking these classes. This is what I tell them. And if you guys have any questions, I don't mind answering them. And even with XP001, but I made this a point. Guys down there kept calling, hey man, my weapon or this weapon. Guys, these aren't weapons. These are tools. And it can be used as a weapon, just like a vehicle can be used as a weapon to hurt people. But this is a tool that I use to save the lives of loved ones, of family, of people that I care about, my friends here in Las Vegas, my friends back home. Yeah, it can be used as bad, but it can also be used as good. This weekend, I used this to teach people about firearms. While we were down there, the whole, incident and 2 hours away, the incident happened down in Texas this weekend at the church. And the bad thing happened by a bad person, and he used that to do harm. But there was a law-abiding citizen that also used this as a tool to hopefully save more lives, in the process. So I'm the weapon. This is not the weapon. I'm the weapon, and whether I'm overseas or I see somebody doing something bad out there, hopefully I have a loaded firearm on me that I do 99% of the time to save my life and the lives of the people that I love. So if you guys got any questions, man, hey, I'd love to do this. I already talked to XP001 about this, and maybe put this on the schedule a couple more times. We're already planning on me going back to Hempstead in 6 months. So don't be afraid to sign up for these courses. Guys, you'll get your money's worth. It doesn't matter if I'm teaching or Instructor Chuck, Blue, Instructor Val, whoever it is, man. XP001 put a great group of instructors together, and 100% of the students in that course said, man, they would have paid twice as much for that course. And that's not a direct reflection on how amazing of an instructor I am. It's just most of the instructors keep an open mind, and I got a POI that I stick with, but I'm not there to waste your time, and I'm there for you to get your money's worth. And that class went above and beyond, and we did stuff at the end that I thought there's no way that I thought they were able to get to that level. And they not only got to that level, but they went beyond that level. So, man, kudos to you guys. Also, a shout out to I forget the name of the company. Who are these guys? I'm so Silver Bullet Concealment. Sorry about that, guys. I'm so wrapped up in this class and so excited. At a moment's notice, they made me this holster to my specs so I could use it, so I could throw a Streamlight on my STI and run in the class. Guys, it performed flawlessly. You know, they made me a couple mag pouches for my STI. Another shout out to Surefire. Even though I don't run Surefire on my AR, these are the handheld lights that I do. We got a 15% off.
Yes.
Here at Z.E.R.T for Surefire lights, guys. These are the best for handhelds out there. They also make a great weapons light. I don't use it because this is what I've used for the majority of my deployments overseas. I'm used to it. It's muscle memory, whether I'm going to strobe or flicking it on constant or temporary. Guys, I don't have a problem with, they make a great light also, a great warranty. If you break it, we've been to the facility, if you break it, man, they'll send you another one. They make a great weapons light and a great handheld light. Unfortunately, I've been using this forever. That's what I know. So guys, use that Surefire. Man, we talked about it in the class. 90% of the stuff that's going to happen to you out there, whether it's at an ATM machine or you're driving down the road and stopping at a light, if somebody's going to do any type of danger to you, it's probably going to happen at night. So whether it's our low light class or another low light class out there, man, you guys need to train on your firearms, train on your tactics at night just as much as you do during the day. Got anything?
No, the only thing I can think of is, you know, if you want to get this on the schedule, we'll get it going. And now that we have use of the Surefire facility and the shoot house, which is indoors, we can run during the day, and we can do a low light CQB class, 1 and 2 man. So stay tuned, guys. We're in a huge transition right now, finishing up the end of the year for Z.E.R.T. So just bear with us. I know there's a lot of you guys requesting training, requesting a lot of things. We're having the new website built, and like I said, it's just a big transition. So just bear with us. We're going to get it going and really ramp stuff up for 2018. So big shout out to all you guys that knocked it out in Hempstead, Texas with Instructor Paul this last weekend. And then a big shout out to the class at Rural Range in Tennessee that Instructor Chuck's doing, which will be a 2-day CQB class. So big shout out. And hey, Josh, if you want to join, go to ZERTNation.com, join as a member. I know right now they're working on the website, so there might be a few tweaks with it, but I appreciate your guys' support. Anything else, Paul?
That's all I got, man. Just happy to be here and continue teaching, and might be making a move here in the near future to the East Coast, but I'll continue working with Z.E.R.T and teaching for Z.E.R.T and having a great time, man. This is a blast. I enjoy it.
So we'll dominate East and West Coast with our instructors. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm XP001 and
Instructor Paul.
Out.